What's good, everyone? Welcome to my new special video, which is terrifying facts and most unexpected stories about world wars that will make you wish you knew more. Part 2. Stay with me as you watch these upcoming clips because I guarantee that these will make you go wow, give you goosebumps, and the most essential thing, which is to learn as well. But first, let me introduce myself. What's good, everyone? It's your boy Treezy, and welcome to Treezy TikTok. I guess their bond made it much worth it for them to fight for their country.
Weird War Facts, Part 11. During World War II, the Polish army officially enlisted a brown bear named Wojtek. He enjoyed drinking beer, smoking cigarettes, and wrestling, as he served as a morale booster for soldiers. Bill Millen was a personal piper who played his bagpipes on D-Day while his fellow comrades were getting killed all around him. The only reason German snipers didn't shoot him was because they thought he had gone mad. During the Vietnam War, John Donahue took a plane from New York City and snuck into the war zone to deliver beer to his buddies. It is known as the greatest beer run ever, and there have been multiple documentaries made about it.
Hey, for real, bro? That guy just woke up and said, why not fight the whole army?
Weird War Facts, Part 12. Lieutenant Colonel A.J. Drexel Biddle was a master in hand-to-hand combat. He used to order his troops to surround him with bayonets before single-handedly disarming each of them without any of his own weapons. This photo of one such demonstration was taken in 1943. Tsar Bomba was the largest bomb ever set off by far. It produced a mushroom cloud 168 times taller than the Empire State Building. Its power output was 1.4% of the sun's, and it sent shockwaves that traveled around the Earth 3 times. After a battle in Vietnam, Master Sergeant Roy Benavidez had 37 puncture wounds, exposed intestines, and a broken jaw. He was pronounced dead until he spit in the face of a doctor who was zipping him up in a body bag.
Sheesh! No scope? Hey, that guy ain't playing around, boy. Don't play with him.
Weird War Facts, Part 13. Nicknamed White Death, Finnish sniper Simo Häyhä killed over 500 Soviet soldiers during the Winter War. He did it in less than 100 days using nothing but a hunting rifle with no scope. When asked what he felt while killing an enemy soldier, he responded, "The recoil." This was the breastplate of 19-year-old Antoine Frevaux. He was struck and killed by a cannonball while serving under Napoleon Bonaparte during the Battle of Waterloo in 1815. These German prisoners of war were forced to watch a film on the atrocities of the Holocaust. Many of them were outright horrified and even burned their Nazi uniforms after watching the footage.
To survive that long is nearly impossible, but the million-dollar question is, how?
Weird War Facts, Part 14. Before making his name in Hollywood, Rob Riggle served in the U.S. Marine Corps for 23 years. He received several awards and commendations for his service in Kosovo, Afghanistan, and Liberia. This is how enemy aircraft was detected before the invention of radar. During World War II, there was a Soviet woman whose husband was killed by the Nazis. To avenge her husband's death, the woman sold all of her possessions and bought a tank, which she nicknamed the Fighting Girlfriend. With permission from the Soviet Union, she hunted down Nazis with her own tank.
There will always be a way, bro. It's crazy to think how his life turned out after that.
Weird War Facts, Part 15. During World War II, JFK was stranded in the Solomon Islands and ended up carving a message into a coconut. A native islander delivered it to the closest U.S. military base and saved his life. When he became president, Kennedy used the coconut as a paperweight on his desk in the Oval Office. This is a 1942 photo of Japanese troops using prisoners of war for target practice. During World War II, a German pilot spotted an American pilot's crippled plane in the sky. He noticed that the gunner was dead, the crew was injured, and that they didn't pose any threat. So instead of destroying the plane, he led it to safety and spared the men's lives. 40 years later, the two pilots reunited and became fishing buddies.
It runs in the blood, bro. Just like what other people say. The child is the father of the man.
Weird War Facts, Part 16. Teddy Roosevelt's son Quentin fought in World War I as a pilot. He was killed in a dogfight and his plane crashed behind enemy lines. But the Germans gave him a full military burial with honors. They apparently admired the fact that a president's son chose to fight. During World War II, prisoners of war were treated so nicely in Canada that many of them didn't want to leave when they were released. During the same war, Soviet forces tried to train dogs to run under enemy tanks with bombs on their backs. However, this evil plan fortunately ended up failing miserably. Because the dogs had been trained using Soviet tanks, when it came to the real battlefield, many dogs ended up running under friendly Soviet tanks, blowing them up instead.
This one will shock you to the highest freaking level. Goosebumps all the way.
Weird War Facts, Part 18. During a World War II battle in the Pacific, American soldier Thomas Baker was badly wounded but refused to be evacuated. Instead, he ordered his squad to leave him propped up against a tree with nothing but a pistol and 8 bullets. Later, they returned to find Baker dead holding an empty pistol, with 8 dead Japanese soldiers lying around him. 65 years after it crash-landed on a beach in Wales, an American P-38 fighter plane emerged from the sand where it lay buried. After Colonel Robert Gould Shaw was killed in the Second Battle of Fort Wagner in 1863, he was buried in a mass grave as an insult for leading the first all-black regiment in American history. When troops tried to recover his body, his father proudly said, "We will not have his body removed from where it lies, surrounded by his brave and devoted soldiers."
Love always win, bro. How many times do I have to repeat that? But you know, I hope nothing happened after that.
Weird War Facts, Part 19. On Christmas in 1914 during World War I, the British and Germans laid down their weapons. They crossed over no man's land and joined each other to celebrate the holiday. They exchanged food, played games, and even attended burials for each side. It was seen as a symbolic moment during the brutal war. William Hitler despised his uncle Adolf and fled from Germany to fight for the US during World War II. William's sons also agreed to never have children in order to kill off Hitler's bloodline. During World War II, Michelangelo's statue of David was encased in bricks to prevent damage from bombs.
This one is one for the books. Their trickery and stealth will make you go, wow.
Weird War Facts, Part 20. During World War II, a Dutch minesweeper evaded the Japanese for 8 days disguised as an island. The crew covered the decks in trees and painted exposed surfaces to look like rocks. They moved only at night and anchored close to the shore during the day, eventually escaping to Australia. The arm of Civil War General Thomas Stonewall Jackson has its own grave. In 1863, his arm had to be amputated after he was accidentally shot by his own Confederate troops. But he was so famous that no one could bear to throw the arm into the pile of discarded limbs. So instead, it was given its own burial. M&Ms were invented in 1941 so that American soldiers could enjoy chocolate that was heat-resistant and easy to transport during World War II. Initially, they were sold exclusively to the US military.
Subscribe for a week of nothing but blessings and good vibes. This is heartbreaking, especially those who are the victims of this. I hope one day everything will come to peace.
Afghanistan has literally been at war for 40 years non-stop. All hell broke loose when the Soviets invaded and occupied the land from 1979 to 1989. Right after, from 1989 to 1982, a civil war between the government and the Mujahideen. Then another from 1992 to 1996 between different Mujahideen factions. And then another one from 1996 to 2001. And since then, the NATO intervention from 2001 up until now.
Wow! I cannot believe this.
These were some of the craziest World War II tactics that actually worked. The Nazis made crooked picture bombs specifically intended for officers. When they were retreating, they left paintings on the walls and skewed them to the side, so when they were straightened, they were rigged to explode. The Ghost Army was created in 1944 as the first tactical deception unit in US Army history. They used inflatable tanks, fake radio traffic, and built phony headquarters to confuse the Nazis. A US naval destroyer once won a battle against a Japanese submarine by throwing potatoes at them, which the Japanese thought were grenades. The Royal Air Force dropped matchbooks into enemy territory containing instructions on how a soldier could fake an illness. Once Nazi command heard of this, they stopped sending their troops home when they said they were sick. Therefore, many genuinely sick troops were sent into combat, resulting in even more disease and death.
This one literally make my heart ache, bro. No one deserved that.
Imagine having to do this just to take your baby on a walk. This was all too real for the people of Europe during World War II. This device was known as a gas-proof pram. It gave them peace of mind with the threat of gas attacks. It was airtight with a built-in filtration system. During those horrific times, this was one small way to try to normalize life.
I really thought that everyone was supposed to go all out, but damn, I didn't know this.
These are some things that are banned during war. Shh, do not follow me, or you might start World War -5. A lot of you Betty boys think that war is just a joke because you never been through it. Like, you know it actually is a joke? A joke! First thing that is banned are flamethrowers. Don't be mad at me. The Navy banned it because a lot of their soldiers play freeze tag. Second is mustard gas. I mean, goodness gosh, I'm shocked too, my brother. But the reason why is because a lot of these Betty Boy soldiers fall behind and they can't catch up. Nah, but it's actually toxic for your lungs. Last thing is glasses. Now, when it comes to glasses, it's banned, especially in the Marines when you're deployed at the sea, because you don't need glasses to see the sea, unless if you need hearing aid.
That's a lot of casualties, bro. Especially to those who are the victims of the war. Rest in peace to those people, bro.
Terrifying World War II facts. Drop a like if you enjoyed. Tsutomu Yamaguchi is the only man recognized by the Japanese government for having survived both the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. He was working as an engineer at Mitsubishi at the time. Although a forgotten ally, China lost a staggering $2.27 million during World War II. Their refusal to give up to Japan played a vital role in the war. The bombing of Tokyo is seen as the single most destructive bombing raid in history. The US dropped white phosphorus and napalm on the city of Tokyo, killing over 100,000, leaving 1 million homeless, and burning several square miles of the city. The Battle of Stalingrad, seen as the bloodiest battle of World War II, saw the Soviet Union suffer more casualties in this one battle than the entire US and British forces did the entire war. The Soviet Union lost an estimated 1.1 million people.
Well, I guess I don't really blame them, because who would have thought that the person they saved would turn out to be the most dangerous person to ever exist?
These are some morbid facts that you didn't know about Adolf Hitler. Before his rise to power, Hitler escaped death numerous times. When he was 4 years old, a priest saved him from drowning in a freezing cold river. While fighting in World War I, he was spared by a British soldier who aimed in and realized that the wounded German would be no threat. In 1924, Hitler was arrested for high treason, the punishment for which was typically execution. However, the judge let him live since he believed that Hitler had good intentions. In 1938, Hitler was Time magazine's Person of the Year, and the year after that, he was nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. While his actions during the war were nothing short of horrific, some of his post-war plans went even further. Hitler planned on collecting millions of Jewish artifacts to build a museum of an extinct race. And if the Axis powers won, he planned on declaring war against his Japanese allies in a final showdown.
This one will blow your mind to pieces.
Here are some morbid facts that you didn't know about the American Civil War. During the Civil War, twice as many soldiers died from diseases than battle injuries. Dysentery and chronic diarrhea were so prevalent that there was an honor code among soldiers to never shoot a man while he's pooping. This is a photo comparison of Abraham Lincoln before and after the war. Many Cherokee Indians sided and fought with the Confederacy during the Civil War. This was because many of them were black slave owners themselves and they still resented the Union for the Trail of Tears. Confederate soldier W.V. Meadows was shot in the eye during the Battle of Vicksburg. He survived, and 58 years later, he coughed the bullet out of his mouth. Until the Civil War, Robert E. Lee owned a plantation across the river from Washington, D.C. Once the Union Army captured the land, they started burying Union soldiers there to spite Lee. Today, that property is known as Arlington Cemetery.